What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4, Episode 2, You Scots to Be Lying. So we start off with your boy Martell. He is doing a photo shoot for his calendar, which he's going to be putting out there, I don't know when, but I guess sometime in the near future, where it's going to feature him for every single month. He's trying to capitalize on his attractiveness because no matter how much of a dog he is, there's going to be plenty of people out there. They're going to be willing to throw money at him for this calendar. So he needs to do what he needs to do because he's got 5 children to support. And I don't know what's going on with the real estate. I don't know what's going on with him getting his builder's license, but he's trying to have, I guess, as many streams of income as he possibly can. And I think he's also going to be putting out a book as well. Now that might be interesting. Martell's book might be really interesting. So he realizes that he needs more baby oil. He does have a manager. His manager is somebody that he had gone to school with back in middle school. So somebody that he's known for several years. And I don't know like how this union came about, but she's going to be his manager. And so when he needed the baby oil, I didn't know why the manager couldn't go get the baby oil for him. But instead, out of all people, he calls Destiny to get the baby oil. So she walks in there and she sees him like half dressed and she's like, what the hell's going on in here? So he tells her about his calendar, so on and so forth. And then, of course, they get to talking about Melody. So Destiny tells Martell that Melody's mad at her because of what happened in LA. The way Melody likes to spin it is she says that Melody had overheard her and Tisha talking about her, but they weren't saying anything malicious. And Melody wasn't concerned about what they were saying. Melody was more concerned about the fact that Destiny was talking to one of her enemies, that enemy being Tisha. And so Martell kind of like shrugs his shoulders and he's like, you know what? That's just how Melody is. She really doesn't keep any friends, and it looks like you're going to be her next casualty. And I just thought that it was kind of foul that Destiny, even though she and Melody are not friends or they're going through their rough patch right now, I just thought it was still kind of foul that she was going to talk to Martell about Melody because Martell has nothing nice to say about Melody. So you just wanted someone to basically agree with you because you feel so hurt that Melody is not talking to you, and you just want to talk to someone who's going to share the same sentiments as you do about Melody. And if Destiny was confused about Tisha being Melody's enemy, and that's why she felt comfortable talking to Tisha, because supposedly she didn't know that that was Melody's enemy. She does know for a fact that Martell is Melody's enemy. So you just like stirring up the pot with Melody. So don't get mad when Melody comes at you all crooked because she found out that you were talking about her to Martell. Moving on. Melody and Stormy. Now, Stormy, I remember her from last season. I remember her being a guest at some event that Destiny was holding. It was like a business event for women, and Stormy was there, and she was very pregnant at that time, but she sends out her baby. And Stormy also has her own business, and I think it's got to do with some type of cosmetic. So Melody says that she is rebranding her own business, and so she went to Stormy for some business advice, but mainly to gossip. So after they get done talking about business, Stormy asks her about the reunion and how that went down, and the after effects of that. And then so they talk about that. They talk about Martell. They talk about Martell's mistress, and then Melody invites Stormy to her pajama party. So Stormy asked if she also invited Tisha and Destiny, and then Melody says, "You know what? I don't fool with them, so no, they will not be at my pajama party." So then Melody asks about Tiffany because I think Melody had mentioned, no, Stormy asked about Tiffany because Melody had mentioned that she was going to invite Tiffany. And then Stormy was like, you know what? I'm not really feeling Tiffany. She seems like a clout chaser, or someone who's just really thirsty for the limelight or thirsty for attention. So I'm not really feeling her, but I don't have a problem, seeing her at your party. I'm going to feel her out and then make my decision. And Melody's like, girl, if you don't like her, you don't like her. You don't have to force it. So then we move on to Tisha and Scott. They are at their office and they're talking about business. And then all of a sudden, our favorite house mother appears, Miss Wanda. She shows up. Now, Miss Wanda, the way that I feel about her is I don't have a problem with Miss Wanda defending her daughter, tooth and nail. No issues with that. That's her child. Anybody that comes for her child, she's going to come and attack. The only issue that I had with Miss Wanda was, number one, how she talked to Melody's mother. I thought she talked to her very disrespectfully. And I also had a problem with Miss Wanda trying to get all deeply involved with Mel and Martell's marriage. That's what I didn't like. But she's a ball of fun. Miss Wanda's a ball of fun. When Miss Wanda shows up, you know the scene is going to be super duper interesting, and she did not disappoint. So Miss Wanda shows up, and in their confessional, Marceau refers to her as a vampire and then a daywalker. The things that he says about Miss Wanda is just like, I don't know, he's teasing, but I mean, at some point, I would think that Tisha would be like, you know what, enough's enough of you making jokes about my mom, but whatever. So Miss Wanda says that she is opening a food truck, and she says that Tisha and Marceau are paying for it, and Marceau seemed kind of surprised. He was like, what do you mean we're paying for it? And so Tisha had to remind him and say, look, remember when my mother wanted to start a food truck and you said, well, if she can prove that if she can show that she was going to be really invested in it and really interested in it, that we would give her the money. So I went and I told my mom, and I guess Miss Wanda proved that she was really into this, that she was really going to go full throttle into this food truck business. So Tisha took it upon herself to go ahead and give her mom the money for the food truck. So Marceau was cool about it. And so Miss Wanda's like, well, I'm here because I need a sponsor. She needs a sponsorship for her food truck. And so, that's the purpose of her visit, but we know why she really showed up. So it didn't take too long when Miss Wanda started to talk about the picture, the infamous picture that Maurice had posted online showing that him and his brother Maurice were with Martell in Las Vegas back in 2015, 2016, when supposedly Martell had gone up there either to meet his mistress or he went there with his mistress, but he was there to hook up with his mistress. And Maurice and Marceau were there with him, even though Maurice had said at the reunion that he was not there. And so his own brother posts this picture to prove that Maurice was a liar to the whole wide world. So Miss Wanda says, you threw your own brother Maurice under the bus, and birds of a feather flock together. So Marceau gets offended by this, and he's like, you know what, I didn't throw my brother under the bus. I just put it up there as a joke, and I'm still trying to figure out who the hell is laughing, because everybody's pissed off at this picture. I don't know who's laughing. I don't know who thought it was a joke, because everybody's aggravated. So he says, I just put that up there, just to be funny, and I don't flock with Martell. He says, me and Martell have nothing in common. He says that Martell doesn't even drink. So what are me and him going to do? Go out to eat together? So he's like, I don't flock with Martell. Okay, Marceau, you don't flock with him as far as watching sports and going out drinking at the bars, but you flock with him when it comes to extramarital affairs. You're flocking with him with that. Let's stop the nonsense. So Tisha says, oh, so the whole time, Miss Wanda and Martell are going back and forth. Tisha's on the sidelines watching all this go down because, she needs her mother to talk for her, because I've always said that Tisha does not have a backbone, or the emotional strength to face her husband, because he can play those mind tricks on her. So she's not mentally strong to go toe to toe with Marceau. So she will always use someone else to do it for her. Most of the time it's Miss Wanda. So Tisha goes, oh, you mean that you've never really hung out with him one-on-one? And so he's like, yeah, we don't hang out because we have nothing in common. So then Miss Wanda says, well, have you ever rented or had an apartment with Martell? And this is when it got really interesting, because when she asked him that question, Marceau Scott does what the Scotts do, which is they tap dance around the question. They answer questions with questions. Then they question you while you're questioning them. But the whole entire time, they're not giving you an answer to a damn thing. So Miss Wanda says, have you ever rented or had an apartment with Martell? Marceau answered the question with the question. He goes, did I ever rent an apartment with Martell? And then he says, why is it any of your concern if I did? if I had or if I hadn't. And then Miss Wanda tries to say, look, stop with all the, yin yang, jaw jacking. Just give me an answer. Yes or no. So Marceau says, if I had an apartment with Martel, would I tell you about it? Okay, if you had an apartment with Martel, would you, obviously you're not going to admit that you did. So why won't you say that you didn't? Is it because you did and you don't want the proof to come out? Like maybe Martel might have some receipts and show proof that y'all did get this apartment together so y'all can do your extracurricular activities at the apartment with your lady friends. Is that why you don't want to come right out and say no, because you don't want Martel or some other third party to throw it back in your face? Or why not just say no, even if you did? And maybe you and Martel have an agreement or a promise that y'all will never talk about this apartment. Or just tell her, no, I never got an apartment with Martel, or whatever. Just give the woman a straight answer. Like, why can't you give her a straight answer? Obviously you're not going to admit that you did if you did. So why not just say no? But you don't want to say no because you don't want to come out as a liar. You don't want to say yes because you don't want to admit that you've been unfaithful to Tisha. So you're just going to tap dance around the question. So Miss Wanda says, when you don't give a straight answer, people are going to assume that you're lying. And Marceau says, well, people assume that I'm lying even before I even open my mouth. And Miss Wanda says in her confessional that because he won't give me a straight answer, there must be some truth in the rumors of him cheating on Tisha and, just being a really bad boy out there. So Miss Wanda gets very frustrated with him. And, they're going back and forth, back and forth. They're talking over each other because Miss Wanda just, her patience has run really thin with this man. And Tisha's watching all of this. And so Marceau says, if you have to ask me something like that, then you don't really know me after 15 years. You don't really know who I am after 15 years of us knowing each other or of me being married to your daughter. There he goes. He's going to answer a question with a question, or he's going to question you. Why are you questioning him? And so Tisha gets upset. She doesn't get upset, but I guess she's tired of all of this. And so she stops the conversation because she's got to go pick up her kids. Tisha says in her confessional, I believe Marceau because when I said I do to the Marceau. Okay, let me start all over. In her confessional, she says, I believe Marceau because when I said I do to Marceau, not to everybody else. What the hell does that mean? Obviously, you said Marceau, you said yes, or you said I do to him. You didn't say I do to anybody else. So you're trying to say that, I only have to be concerned about what my husband thinks and not what anybody else thinks. Okay, if you are that confident of a woman, Tisha, and you got it like that, then why do you have your mother fight your battles for you? If you got it like that, why didn't you stop your mom or at least have a conversation with your mom and say, look, don't be asking my husband anything about apartments and women and what happened in Vegas, because I believe him. He's a great husband. He would never lie. He would never cheat. So don't embarrass my husband like that on television. Why don't you stop your mom from doing that, from saying those things if you believe him and you don't care what nobody else thinks? So she says, I trust the man that God provided me with. Okay. Whatever makes you sleep at night, Tisha. Moving on to the other Scotts. So Kimmy and Maurice, they're going to go visit Jalen at his new house, I guess, that he actually owns, because Kimmy says something about, she's not really worried about Jalen being out on his own as long as he keeps up with his mortgage, not rent, but mortgage. So then they're all sitting in his living room and Jalen brings up the picture, the infamous picture. And he asks if they're okay because he was like, you know what? I was reading all the comments under the picture and, it seems like people knew more about my family than I did from all the stuff that they were talking about. There are all these allegations that Maurice was cheating. So I just want to know if y'all are good. And they tell him that they're good. They said that Kimmy says that we've talked about it several times before and after our marriage, and we just don't believe in infidelity. Now, keep in mind, when she says we don't believe in infidelity, her and her husband's definition of infidelity is probably a lot different than everyone else's. So some people think that if you are in a committed monogamous relationship and y'all are, especially when y'all are living together, that, if someone steps out of the relationship, then that is probably cheating and you're being unfaithful. But to Kimmy and Maurice, if you are in a committed monogamous relationship and y'all are living together as a couple, and he's helping you raise your son as you are helping him raise his, then if one of you should step out of that relationship, out of that union, it's still not cheating because y'all aren't married. So, what I would like to know is this. Did they decide that, hey, if we see other people while we're in this committed monogamous relationship and we're living together as a family, do they decide, like, hey, we're still going to be seeing other people and doing other things, and that's going to be perfectly okay because it's not really cheating? Do they have an open relationship? Basically, that's what I'm asking. Do they have an open relationship? Because if you did, then Kimmy, just tell us. Just say, hey, we had an open relationship before we got married. He did his thing, I did my thing, and then we got together and did our thing together. So if you had an open relationship, then just say it. Because I'm not understanding, like, you act like you're not bothered that he had, I'm assuming you didn't know about it. And if you didn't know about him and his philandering ways before you got married, then wouldn't that mean he was breaking your trust? Wouldn't that mean that he was what some people may say cheating on you? But you said that it wasn't cheating because you weren't married. So, like I said, the Scots have their own definition of what monogamy means, of what infidelity means, of what marriage means. So they really need to give us a crash course so that we can keep up with their talk and their language and their conversations, because I'm definitely getting lost. So she says that she tells Jalen that, we've talked about it several times before and after our marriage, and we don't believe in infidelity. And I understand that, when she said that, she probably meant we don't believe in infidelity once you've actually gotten legally married. So Maurice says in his confessional that the conversation with Jalen went fine because Jalen was like, well, I think I would have known if Maurice was cheating, because, he wouldn't be coming home or something like that. And I'm like, oh, Jalen. You sweet innocent thing, because I'm pretty sure, there were times when Mel had no idea in the very, 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 very beginning of Martell's infidelity. She probably had no idea what he was doing. So it's not always that obvious, Jalen. So we move on to Melody's pajama party. So she actually has little tents set up, individual tents for them to sleep in. I thought that was kind of cute. So we don't have Tisha because she wasn't invited, but we definitely have cousin Kiki, which is Tisha's cousin. She was invited. And so Kimmy was talking about how, I wonder how Tisha's going to feel about this, that she wasn't invited, but her cousin was. Tisha and her cousin look more like sisters to me than cousins. They really favor each other. So Kimmy, Kiki, and Stormy, they're talking about the picture that Marisa posted online. And they asked Kimmy, how has she been holding up, because, she got sucked into this mess and how is she doing? And, Kimmy's like, what, I'm fine. I'm good. And in her confessional, she rolls her eyes and she's like, what, I am so sick and tired of talking about this damn picture and people pulling me into this mess. So then Melody says, do y'all think that what they said about Marceau was true about what he was doing when they went to Vegas? So when they took that picture, Melody was asking, do y'all believe that whatever was going on at that moment was really going on? Because people have been saying that, these men went to Vegas to basically, fool around with their side pieces. And so all of them, all three of them, and maybe the fourth guy, I don't know who that was. So she's asking, do y'all believe that could possibly be true? And Kimmy says that she does not believe that they went there to see anyone or to do anything that was, wrong. Martell has always said, since the very first episode of the very first season, Martell has always said that he wasn't the only man in that group that was being unfaithful. He's always said that, and he's never backed down, not once. Because every time that he would talk about the other guys cheating, the other guys being Marceau or Maurice, every time he would talk about them also being unfaithful, and they would like, deny it, and they would like push back at him, he never once backed down. He was like, y'all know what y'all did. I'm not the only one. He never once came out and said, you know what, I only said that because I wanted to hurt y'all because of what I was going through. Or I only said that to be funny, in the words of Marceau. I only said that to be funny or whatever. He always has stood by the fact that he wasn't the only guy that cheated in this group. So Kimmy says, however, she says she doesn't believe that they were doing anything bad or salacious, or they were being unfaithful in any way to their women. She doesn't believe that. But she says, however, if someone came to me and proved otherwise, I wouldn't be flabbergasted. So I was like, Kim, why are you talking out of both sides of your mouth? Because she did the same thing when she was having her conversation in the backyard with Maurice, where she's kind of like, I believe you that you didn't do anything, but if you did, it wasn't cheating. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what are you saying, Kim? Like I said, I need like a the dummies book for Kimmy and Scott language, because I'm not following at all why it's like you're saying this, but then you're saying that. Like, no, no, no. Maurice would never cheat on me. Oh, no, no. He didn't do that. But if he did, we weren't married then. So it's not cheating. No, I don't believe he did anything in Vegas. No, he didn't do anything in Vegas with anybody else. But if someone told me that he did, I wouldn't be surprised. What? Like, which one is it? So I feel like possibly Maurice had confessed already to Kimmy in private at some point. He has already confessed to her, and she's already accepted it. And he probably did the Jedi mind trick on her into making her think that it was okay, or that, he should be forgiven because they weren't technically married. And he probably took her down the history of marriage vows and says, until those marriage vows are spoken, we really owe nothing to one another, or whatever. He used his lawyer speech on her. And so that's how she came out with this craziness about, well, we weren't married, so it wasn't cheating. So, but I think that she knows that he did something in Vegas, and probably some other times too, and somewhere else with some other people. She probably does know, but she's not going to put it out there. She will not put it out there. But she has prepared herself. She won't put it out there. But in case it comes to her, she's not going to act surprised and embarrassed and shocked. So she's kind of like already laying down that foundation that, oh, I trust my husband. I believe my husband. But if anything came out that said otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised. So that when it does come out, she's not going to be acting all surprised. She's going to be like, I told y'all. Or she's going to be like, yeah, we already talked about it. And, we decided that wasn't really cheating. We already had that conversation. Like she told her son, oh, we've already talked about it. We've talked about it before and after we got married. So we're good. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just say it. If you obviously it didn't bother you because you still married the man. So just come out and say, yes, we had some indiscretions. He did this, he did that. We had a conversation. He apologized, I forgave, and we moved on. Then that you'll end it. Then the situation, or the whole controversy around Maurice will be completely dead. Anyways, so Stormy says, do you think that do you think that Marceau posting that picture was a way for him to deflect the attention away from him and put it on Maurice? Because he knew that if he posted that picture that was going to prove that Maurice was a liar at the reunion, people were going to go crazy. So the women were like, except for Melody, everybody was like, no, because it really didn't take any attention away from Marceau. So it didn't really deflect anything. I think it did, because this is what I said in my last review, that I felt like this is why Marceau posted that picture, because at the reunion, there was a lot, not even at the reunion, the whole season from last year, there was a lot of loose ends when it came to Marceau and his, whether or not he's been faithful to Tisha. There were so many loose ends. He never answered anything. He never came out and confirmed whether he did or he didn't. He never came out to just to clear his name. He never once tried to clear his name to be like, hey, I never did this. I would never do this. None of that. It was always, that crazy talk that they do, that the Scots love to do. So, I I think he probably felt like, because there were so many episodes and so many scenes where Tisha was questioning him. Miss Wanda was questioning him. Martell has been accusing him of cheating. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to get all this pressure off of me. And if my brother's collateral damage, so be it, as long as it's not about me. And I think that he did do that to deflect. And it didn't deflect it 100%. It's not like we completely forgot about Marceau, but it did bring more attention for the moment on his brother than it did on him. So most of the women at the party were like, no, we don't really think it deflected anything from Marceau. And then Kimmy even said, no, it really didn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, it did, Kimmy. And Melody says, well, I totally agree. In her confessional, Melody says, I totally agree with Stormy. That's some backstabbing mess to me. She said, that's some backstabbing mess. It really is, that you would do that to your own brother. Now, I'm an only child. So the sibling dynamic, I'm not familiar with. I just automatically assume that your sibling was your ride or die, and that your sibling is probably that one person in your life that you could completely trust wholeheartedly and who will always be there for you. So for me to see examples, not just on this show, but in real life and everywhere else, but for me to see examples of siblings, just betraying each other, to me, that's just like bizarre. So the fact that Marceau would do this to his own brother, and then not only do that, but then dictate how his brother should react. So he puts this picture out there, and then people are like, oh my God, Marceau, how could you do that to your brother? He's like, what do you mean? He thinks it's funny. He thought it was funny. And then, he's trying to paint this narrative that, oh, Maurice thought it was funny. It wasn't until, the yip yappers got into his ear that he's now seeing it differently. Anyways, so Melody asked Kiki, has there previously been rumors about Marceau being unfaithful to Tisha? And Kiki was like, yeah, there's always been rumors about Marceau, but Tisha never believes it because there was never any hardcore evidence. And so then Kimmy says in her confessional, everybody over there was talking about Tisha and Marceau and her marriage, but did nobody want to invite her? But they're sure as hell we're talking about her. Moving on to Tiffany and Kimmy. So we're still at the party. So Tiffany wants to pull Kimmy to the side because she wants to, patch things up. They had a rough season last year, and the reunion didn't make it any better because, Kimmy went out there and exposed to the whole world that Tiffany was fired from the Chamber of Commerce. And Tiffany, didn't like that at all. And she denied that she was fired. So she pulls Kimmy to the side and she brings up the whole Chamber of Commerce thing. And she tells Kimmy, I wasn't fired. I actually had left or quit or something. And she said, and I left with benefits. So it was like a situation where her boss was like, hey, if you really want to leave, then leave. So she ended up leaving because obviously there was something going on there. There was some type of bad blood between her and the chamber. So she left and she said she got her full benefits package and just like, she wasn't fired. So, Kimmy's like, you know what? I never, she was trying to be real diplomatic. She was like, well, the only reason why I brought that up was because, you're always pointing out how we were not transparent enough with our lives, but you and your husband, y'all were not transparent either, but y'all were really quick to point the finger at everybody else because you had dirt in your closet too. For example, the whole firing thing. Kimmy never once took back what she said. She didn't say, oh, okay, I misspoke, so you weren't fired. Okay, I take it back. She never once took back what she said, that she was actually fired. So, and you can be fired, and if you get an attorney, you can probably still be considered terminated and have a package and get some type of benefit, your benefits package or some type of compensation and still be fired. I mean, have you heard of the golden parachute when they get rid of CEOs and stuff? They get rid of them, they oust them out, but they still give them like a really hefty compensation package. So, she just didn't want to be embarrassed like that. Okay, so then Kimmy never took back what she said, and then Stormy joins into the conversation, and so Stormy Kimmy explains to Stormy what they've been talking about. We're talking about, the whole thing about what I said, that she was fired from the Chamber of Commerce. And Stormy actually said, I think, that, you use the whole Chambers of Commerce thing like you were still working there. Because the way you were introduced on the show, or the way Melody introduced you to us, or to the people, or whoever, she introduced you as, this is my friend Tiffany, who works for the Chamber of Commerce. Oh, yeah, because Stormy said something about the Chamber of Commerce, and then Tiffany said, well, yeah, I had stopped working there years ago. Like, this is a non-issue because I haven't been working for them for 5 years. And so that's when Tiffany said, well, the way you presented yourself as if you were still employed, because even Melody said that you were her friend from the Chamber of Commerce, and you made it seem like you were still working for them. And so Melody comes in, and so they get her up to speed about everything. And then Tiffany says, okay, so then, yeah, Stormy talks about how you portrayed yourself, that you, like, you were still working for them when you actually weren't. And I don't know if Stormy's point was that, and Melody didn't say anything. Melody said nothing to defend Tiffany. Like, oh, no, I didn't really mean to make it look like she worked for them. Or what I really meant was she used to work for them. So maybe y'all misunderstood me. Melody was just sitting there quiet watching Tiffany squirm. And so Tiffany goes, well, I was actually, when I met Melody, I wasn't with the Chamber of Commerce. And I distinctly remember when they first brought Tiffany on the scene last year, Melody did introduce her as her friend from the Chamber of Commerce, as if she was currently working for them. So then Tiffany says that she was working for WEDC, whatever the hell that is, when she met Melody. And, the Chamber of Commerce was like way deep in her past. And so then Kimmy said, well, Melody, this is what Kimmy said, Melody introduced you as her Chamber of Commerce friend. And so then Tiffany goes, well, it's all absurd to me. And then she says something, I don't even know if I heard this right. She said, it's like someone going back in time and bringing up something that you did when you were like 12. I think that's what she said. Someone going back in time or digging in your past and bringing up something that you did when you were 12. I think that's what she said. So when she said that, for some reason, it like had this huge reaction out of Melody and Kimmy and Stormy. And I didn't understand why they reacted the way they did, because this was basically at the end of the episode. And so then Kimmy was like, oh, okay, so you're trying to get smart now. And then Stormy says in her confessional, she says, I see why no one wants to be friends with Tiffany. She wanted to throw the rock and hide her hand. I don't know why she said that. I mean, I see why people don't want to be friends with Tiffany, because she's like not interesting. So I don't know what she meant about throwing a rock and hiding her hand. I don't know what they were talking about with something that you did when you were 12 years old. I have no idea what these people were talking about. So hopefully at the next episode, they'll talk about that more. Now, I like Stormy. I like Stormy a whole lot. She's a lot more interesting than Tiffany. And all I can say is, Tiffany girl, you better tread real lightly around Stormy, because Stormy looks like she knows how to get down, and she looks like she has enough money to make bail. So she'll make bail, and then she'll come right back out and give you round two. So please be careful with how you deal with Stormy, because Stormy is like, she's got it together, and also like, she don't give a damn. She will throw down when she needs to throw down. Stormy's kind of scary. So hopefully they'll talk more about what Tiffany said and what she meant by that. And I'm just like, wow, another season of Tiffany and Lewis. God help me. If you made it this far in my review, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to rate the video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.